My friend owns this like upscale cocktail bar in St. Pete, and we would like take all his Voss water. He'd be like, just ask for some water.
I mean, it seems just so fancy, you know?
I want to put a fish in it.
Yeah. Carth, we are rolling, baby.
Okay.
How's it going?
It's good.
How was your reaction to the last video? I know that like people's comments kind of got on your nerves.
So my initial reaction, because I saw it live with the rest of the world, one, I didn't recognize myself, which was super strange. Like, I didn't recognize that person as me.
Why?
I don't know.
You mean like visually?
Yeah. I was like, I don't know that girl, but it was me. But
because you looked all blown up and stuff.
I just don't think I'm used to like seeing myself like on like an actual camera or something, where I disassociated from it immediately. Definitely the week that that video came out, there was so much tidal waved onto me. I don't think I realized the magnitude of deciding, and what I spoke about was just my life, so not that it's not a big deal to me, but I didn't know anyone else would give a shit if I talked about it or not.
Well, a lot of people, like, shockingly have had, you know, similar experiences with their parents, you know? Like, there's horrible parents everywhere.
Everywhere.
And they keep it a secret, you know? Like, your mom kept it so secret.
Yeah.
Where you never would have assumed, if you knew her professionally, that she was this person.
Never.
Yeah.
A lot. I did get lots and lots of messages. Some messages were really short, some messages were really long and detailed. This one woman, she tried to send me $500 and
right, you told me that.
And I just like blocked it, and I was like, I'm not ready for whatever that means. Like, I'm not ready to
commit. Keep her contact?
I should have, maybe.
Because now you're doing a fundraiser.
I am doing a GoFundMe.
She's the first person you should be
asking, hitting up. Yeah.
Well, it's in your DMs, isn't it?
Yeah, it's deep in there.
I think it's worth it.
I'm a little afraid of that woman, but she was very sweet. I was just afraid of anyone that was approaching me because they were so open. They were a stranger and I was a stranger, and they had witnessed me and approached me. So it was like, in a way, I felt like they already knew my side and I didn't know anything about them. And what I started to say back to people was like, thank you for reaching out to me, like, light and love to you, like, we need to have more of a concurrent conversation about everyone that goes through things like this. Like, clearly, my story isn't really truly that bizarre. It's just maybe bizarre that I'm saying it out loud.
Oh, it's a mistake.
I know, I'm gonna kill it.
No, I'm just gonna be paranoid this entire time.
Yeah. One major thing that happened right after it came out is I got into a very big fight with my best friend, because she grew up with me and her parents took care of me a lot of the time, and I can only assume her parents knew what was going on, like, to a certain extent. I killed it. Look, I got it.
Well done.
That's growing up in Florida for you.
I owe you for that.
So growing up, I spent a lot of time with them, and I went through this stint with an eating disorder where I was like 80 pounds, and I was like living in my car, and I had like 3 waitress jobs, and I was in college full time, and I didn't see anything wrong with the way that I looked, or I never even considered the way that I looked or the way that I felt. I was just going to school and going to work and going to school and going to work. And then one time her parents invited me over. They have a beautiful home. They're definitely an affluent family. They're wonderful, very gifted, intelligent people that shined this like light on me, which made me feel like not worthy, because they were so great and I was just me. And they had me over for dinner once, and the table got really quiet, and they started asking me like, are you okay? How do you feel? You're so thin. Are you breaking up with a boyfriend? Are you upset? Where are you living? How are you, what are you eating? Like, they asked me all these questions. And I just remember clamming up and just being humiliated. Just like, I felt like I was ruining their dinner. Like, I didn't see it as people caring about me. I saw it as me ruining a nice thing. So I didn't say anything, and I made an excuse, and like, I remember one time.
Because you just wanted the dinner to get back on track.
Yeah, I didn't want it to be at me because I didn't feel worthy of that at all. And I feel like I spent so much time trying to conform to what I thought was appropriate or like wouldn't get me noticed. And then like when my body would have those physical reactions of like my weight or like I was always like a little sunken, it got harder and harder to hide. So then it was like a conversation about me that I didn't want to have. I wasn't even recognizing it. I was living in my body. You know, I don't want someone else to bring it up. But I remember I was leaving her house once and her mom was like making mosaic tiles. She's so cool. And she was just talking to me. Because she knows I like art and I make art. And this was like when I was in early college. And she just turned and looked at me and she was like, you know that I love you, right? That I love you? And I just froze and was like, beep, boop. Like, okay, wonderful mother with a beautiful home that, like, I think is amazing. Like, and she stared me in the face and was like, I love you. Like, she said it more than once to get it in my head.
It's so telling that, like, she felt she needed to do that. Like, that she picked up on the complete lack of that in your life.
Yeah.
Or your lack of an ability to
even interact with it. Yeah. Even receive it.
Yeah.
But their daughter is my very good friend, obviously, clearly. And the interview came out, some people called me, some people, you know, internet, whatever, and I was just kind of waiting for my inner circle of people to approach me because I wasn't ever gonna just send that out. So she texted me because we were supposed to do a project together, and she texted me about the project. And I lost it, and I was like, you're not gonna bring up the video? Like, you're not gonna bring up this thing? I finally told the whole world my entire life my mom's trying to kill me. You don't have anything to say to me? And I just, like, turned my phone off, and I was crying. And, like, not even 10 minutes later, she's, like, at my house. She has coffee and flowers. And she's like, I wanted to wait till we were in person. I'm not gonna text you about that. That'd be insane. And we just sat in my bed in Brooklyn and talked for like 3 hours because she was with me my whole adolescence, and she was like, I knew your mom was drunk all the time. She was always drunk, even when she would drive us. Be like, yeah, I stopped driving with your mom. Oh, I said her name. I didn't want to say anyone's name, but I'll do a rewind. Yeah, but she said to me, like, she knew my mom was drunk all the time. And then that's when I started realizing, like, I didn't know my mom was drunk all the time. I had no idea. And she was like, yeah, remember when she picked us up and she was, like, wasted and slurring her words? And I was like, that was normal. Like, I really, truly thought that was just my mom's way of being.
Right.
And she was like, you know, me and my family always knew things were going on with you and, like, the way that your house was, like, it wasn't an impossible thing, but she was like, I had no idea the extent, and you never talked about this with me or with anyone, so it was just weird that I was able to hide it from literally a person that I spent almost every day with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all she knew?
Yeah, pretty much. She knew what she saw.
Wow.
I never brought it up or talked about anything.
She was not shocked, though.
She was incredibly shocked. To the extent.
Yeah.
She wasn't shocked that things were wrong with my mom, but she had no idea, like, the extent of what was happening to me.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like too bad of a fight. Sounds like
yeah, I mean, it was like a fight for like 10 seconds, but I felt, I don't know. I felt like...
Well, that's good that she lives in New York, too.
Yeah, she's my neighbor.
That's great.
She's great.
That's great.
Yeah, I felt like growing up, I tried so hard to be like her and my friends and stuff, and to a weird way, I succeeded at being like them, to the point where I, like, disassociated from that other person that those things were happening to.
Right.
which now I'm integrating, and it's really difficult.
Well, clearly you've done a lot of work on yourself. Just like the language that you use is very like smart, and it's not something you come to on your own. I mean, you said that you've read a lot of books about this and therapy and whatnot. Was this moment with her mom like kind of the moment when you started like working on yourself?
No.
No.
That was the moment that I started hiding it more. Because I felt like I was hurting her family with my bad presence. That's how I always felt. I felt like if anyone ever found out about me, something bad would happen to me, something bad would happen to them, because my only experience with it was something bad will happen. If you talk about this, something bad is going to happen to you. And that's, admittedly, today I was on the phone with my sister talking about this interview, and I was crying and I was really upset. And she was like, well, you already did the first interview, and this is your story, and you should talk about it. And I said, what if something bad happens? And she laughed at me and was like, well, you're 29 now. So if something bad was going to happen to you, it's going to be your choice in a way. Yeah. But I do have this terrible guilt that if my mom ever saw these videos, it would just rip her up.
You care about that?
I never want her to see this.
You don't think it would give you a little bit of satisfaction to let her know how it affected you?
No. I think she'd like kill herself or something. I don't know. This is what I wanted to avoid.
It's okay.
I just feel guilty.
When was the last time you spoke to your mom?
I think 2017, 2016. I graduated college on Mother's Day and she didn't come. And then she sent me something. I'm sorry. Oh, very nice. It's very authentic here at Life Hacks. It is real. No.
I've had people come through and I'm like, it's probably not what you expected. Like, no, this is pretty much exactly what I expected.
Yeah, well, also I do feel like people think movies have all this magic and this is what it is. Like, this is expensive. This is nice. Like, get over yourself. Yeah. Like, you afford this. I can't. Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know.
We were talking about if your mom ever saw that video.
Yeah, so my brother has been very vagrant, very homeless. He struggles with heroin and other addictions.
How many siblings do you have again?
4.
4.
I'm 5.
You're 5.
Yeah. I have a stepsister, then a sister, a brother, a sister,
and you're only really close currently with one sister.
Mm-hmm. The one that's closest to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's 31, I'm 29.
Okay.
And she, not to get sidetracked, but she worked very hard to get me back in her life. I hadn't spoken to her for like 9 years. And she kept, calling me and asking me to see her and stuff. And like in the beginning I was seeing her and stuff, like because it was like a reunion thing. And then she got a house and she was getting married and stuff, and I just wasn't really a part of it. And she just kept calling me and being like, come over for dinner, come over for lunch. Like, tell me about what's going on with you for the past 9 years. Like, and it was just bizarre behavior because I've never had a sibling call me and be like, are you hungry? Do you want to come over and I'll make us sandwiches?
So what was everyone's relationship as siblings in the thick of it when you were kids?
We were very much bonded together. And
so you were close?
As children,
yeah.
Super close.
Yeah.
I worshipped my brother. He's the reason I got into art. He's so talented. He could do anything. He could play music. He was good at sports. He could draw. He was really good at math and science. Like, all of us children were really gifted children. But my therapist says the reason that we have a level of normalcy to our brain function in a way is because we trauma bonded as children. So there was 4 of us. So we had a community within ourselves versus one other thing. So what my therapist has explained to me is like those bonds of normal child behaviors seeking outside normalcy than kind of everyone bringing it home together and then practicing normalcy with each other.
So that, like, protected you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
then why did you guys all grow apart so much?
I came home from high school one day and nobody else came home. And then I was alone with my mom for like years. And then I was really upset with my siblings for leaving me because instead of 4 targets, she had 1. And
they went to live with your dad?
No, they just like ran away.
All same dad?
No, my dad is my dad, and then they have the same dad, and then my other sister is my dad's stepchild from a first marriage.
Okay.
Yeah. But,
I didn't know it was just you and your mom for a while.
Yeah, for most of my life, like sophomore to everything else. Like I remember when my brother was leaving, he helped me get a car from my dad because I wasn't speaking to him. I didn't talk to my dad for like 10 years. And my brother helped me get a car from him. And then it was like, that was my brother's last deed for me. It was like, you have a car. Like, you know, like I have to go. And then my sisters left and it was just me.
But you were kind of out of the house a lot at that.
Yeah, I had the car and I got jobs at an ice cream shop with my friend and I just wanted to be cool and I wanted to go to the beach and I just saw my mom as this lady that was just fucking pissed all the time. Yeah. And growing up, my siblings were so obsessed with changing her, arguing with her, defending themselves, and I would just sit and watch them and be like, that woman is crazy. Like, even as a little girl, like a little child, I was like, that woman is insatiably mad. Like, I'm not gonna argue with her. Anytime she would come at me and yell at me and shit, I would just fucking wait it out, and then she would look at me and I'd be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to school now if you're done.
Yeah. So you have one brother who struggles with addiction and homelessness. Is that the same brother that you looked up to so much?
Yeah, which is real unfortunate, but he is 33, so he's still young. He can still change his life. He was recently incarcerated. Again, he has multiple felonies, but this goes back to the mom question, like speaking to her. So my brother got out of jail because my fucking dad bailed him out again, which is bad because my dad enables him and it's like a big ugly thing. Because if you get arrested enough and your record for drug use is long enough documented, the government is like required to step in and provide you with government assisted like rehab facilities. But in Colorado where he is, you have to be sober for 6 weeks before you can be admitted into rehab, which is just fucking not real. If you're addicted to pills and meth and heroin, oh, you're just gonna go cold turkey on your own and then go to rehab?
Right.
It's completely unrealistic. Yeah. So that's where he's at now. And he's staying with our older sister. And my sister that I'm close with had spoken to them. It's always like a waterfall of communication. It's never like super direct. Like I talked to my one sister. But she's like, yeah, he's there with her and she's married to a cop and the cop hates him, and so he kind of has like a authority around him.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know, dude. And
so wait, describe each one of your siblings.
Describe them?
Yeah.
Well,
it's
hard.
Well, it's hard, but it's also it surprised me that, I mean, your brother has problems, clearly, but I feel like I would imagine you would still be close because of what you went through. Was there something like you had a falling out?
When you're siblings with a drug addict, you have to get away from them.
Yeah.
Because he'll just take from you and lie to you and manipulate you, and he's always in jail and he always needs money, and it's not, when someone is an addict and using, they are no longer themselves. Like my brother is still lost in his addiction. Like when an addict is solidified in addiction, the person that you know does not exist. They can come back with sobriety, but an active addict is only an addict. Like an addict only is this one kind of person. Yeah. And so And also you can't enable addicts. So my relationship with my brother, if I'm in his life and giving him merit or whatever the fuck, it's just gonna enable him to think, oh, I haven't hit bottom yet. Like that's the whole thing with addicts. You have to have them hit bottom.
Yeah.
My brother was an addict and then he got sober and then he came back into my life when I was like 17. And then by the time I was 19, he had found our sister. He found her, like whatever you want to say with that word, he found her. So then I had both my siblings back. And I thought, oh yeah, like look at us. I'm 19, I'm in college, everybody's gonna be fucking, we're gonna do it. And then we'll get the other one and we're gonna be great. And then my brother got a house and he got a girlfriend and he got back in school and he was getting a degree in engineering and he was fucking getting straight A's and he bought a really expensive dog. And then my sister had kids and got married and I was like, wow, look at that. That's pretty good. Yeah. And then my brother started using again, violently using, just 180 using, just lost it all, lost the girlfriend. She has a child, they have a child, my niece. And my other sister's been trying to get custody of that child because that child is in danger as well, which is like awful. Yeah, and so
just because his lifestyle's so erratic.
Yeah, and the mother is troubled as well, like very troubled.
That's rough.
She's probably a little more troubled, but
it's a shame with these things that like history repeats itself a lot.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing with like the addiction. Like no matter what you say to me, I know you're using. I don't want to hear it because until you stop using, then you can have a conversation. Which sounds harsh, and I know this sounds harsh, and I know this is like people are gonna say like, that's not very loving or supportive, and it's also like, well, I'm his baby sister. And it's not my job to take care of a 33-year-old man.
Right.
That only calls me to get him out of jail.
Right.
And I don't have infinite money.
Yeah. So there's your older sister that you're close with, there's your brother, and then there's two more? Mm-hmm. Or the other two?
So my oldest sister was super brilliant, super gifted. I will say I do feel like her childhood was the most tumultuous because she's the oldest daughter and she took care of us. She was our mom, even though she was only 7. Like she was feeding us, she was doing the laundry, taking care of us, getting us out of the way of abuse as much as she could. Like my sister is, she's more stable now, but I would never fault her for the way that she is now because what she went through was like the abusive cycle, but in a way where she had an immense position of responsibility for other children. So, yeah. But she is very gifted, very brilliant. She went to Yale.
Wow. Her
junior year of high school.
You guys are all like high achievers.
Yeah. Yeah, super type A, super love to read, super all of that.
The thing I would think about a lot since your interview is just the fact that you had the ability to get straight A's while drunk at school.
Yeah.
And your mom had the ability to perform as a stenographer.
A high-level job.
While being completely insane.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I know I said that before, but like, my friend's boyfriend's mom is a stenographer. And I'm like, but you have property in Colorado and you have a nice car and your family's amazing. And then I'm like, yeah, I guess that was a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And like again, like what you just said, her ability to compartmentalize her fucking fury and rage is wild.
Yeah.
I don't know how she could go. My sister and I joke about it now because it's like this is gonna sound bleak, but you know, hurting something or beating on something or kickboxing or running, it's a physical task. It is a physical task to chase children and hold them down and whatever she did to it. It was a physical interaction all the time. And she wouldn't sleep and she would do it over and over again. And then she would get up very early, look beautiful and go to work. And I just don't, I remember,
she like wouldn't sleep.
She wouldn't sleep, or then she would sleep for days. And I don't know what was like scarier. I remember being little, and when my mom would sleep for days at a time, I would get this immense feeling that would, I haven't felt this feeling in a very long time, and I don't want anyone to feel this way. I would feel this like heavy wash of doom just take over me. And it's like, that's why I do believe in like the possession or the haunting of whatever was like feeding on us, because that feeling that I would get was so suffocating. It felt like something was like crushing me. And I wouldn't be able to breathe. And then it would lift, like it would go from my feet and like lift out of me. And I just remember being like hope that doesn't come back. Whatever the fuck that was.
So wait, you that's something that you wanted to talk, you didn't want to talk about last time, was the haunting.
Yeah.
Are you ready to talk about that today?
Yeah, we can. That's a whole other can of worms, I feel.
So your house was haunted?
It was very haunted. Extremely haunted, to the point where my mother's friends, her nice friends that were married to lawyers and stenographers and like nice people, would come over and they would be like, "Ooh, there's like something in this house." And like this one woman was like, I heard her on the phone with my mom, like, "Yeah, I met my mom's name." She's like, "Yeah, I don't think like me and the kids want to come over anymore. Like I definitely feel like there's something in that house. Like maybe you should move." Like it wasn't even an organic idea. It was like something that was just like known about our house. Yeah.
So wait, what was going on? How was it haunted?
My sisters did a lot of witchcraft, a lot of scary shit all the time.
They did that in reaction to it being haunted?
I don't know why they did it. I was the youngest, man. Nothing was ever my idea. I never had my own idea about anything that happened. They would do like witchcraft and the Ouija board and the seances, and my oldest sister was like, she was so witchy. She's still so witchy. Like when you look at her, she's just so fucking witchy. It's like scary. Scary. And like I would see shapes move all over the house. Things would move by themselves. My sibling, and there was 4 of us up at night. We would play this game called Sneak Around, which is just a kid at night in their own house playing hide and seek. And so then there'd be 4 of us, and all 4 of us would be like, "Did you see that man in the hat walk by?" And we're all like, "Yeah, that's weird." Like, anyway, back to the game.
Guy in a hat.
Just big, I remember seeing big black shapes, and they would move, and my most vivid memory, which still scares me, I had a really intense migraine as a kid, which was weird because I never got them. And I was laying on our couch in our living room, and it looked into the kitchen, and everything was dark as at night. And in the kitchen, it was dark, but I saw this little shape, and it was much darker, much, much, much darker than anything else around it. And it started coming towards me, and so it was getting a little bit bigger and bigger. And I remember it looking at me in the face, and it was like the face of like a little ghoul, or like a little troll, and it like smiled at me.
Like a monster from a movie.
No, it just looked like a little troll. It just looked like
an ugly person?
Like a little fae creature. Like
Fae?
Fae? Like fairy? Like fairy folk?
Okay.
You don't know about the fae?
No, I don't.
But yeah, and it got in my face, and it smiled at me, and it had sharp teeth, and I just remember going okay, like I shut now. And this is when I was like maybe beginning middle school. And I was just in the car with my dad once, and I was like, yeah, I was sleeping, and I think I saw a troll in the house, and it smiled at me. And my dad fucking hit the brakes on the car, and he said, "What did you see in the house? What did you see in your mother's house?" And I described the interaction, and he was like, "Those are trolls, and you can't talk to them. Don't ever talk to them. Promise me when you see it again, you won't talk to it." Like, my dad 100% was just like, don't talk, like 100% knew exactly what I was talking about.
That's not the right thing to say. I think that probably made it worse, right? Because it might probably make you more scared.
I feel like
Because, why wouldn't he want you to talk to trolls?
Because he said it would hurt me.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the source of people's haunting experiences. They're all weirdly similar.
Yeah.
Which makes it, like, gives it more
validity.
But, like...
But there's more to this if you're ready. Okay. So, getting older, I've learned about my dad, that my dad is incredibly superstitious. Like, incredibly. And I guess his mom was a witch. And also my partner now, I learned about him when I was on shrooms in a forest. When I was like seeing something in him, he was like, do you know that my original grandmother was the first witch of Salem? And I'm like, of course I would be attracted to you. Of course there's some fucking thing that wants me to have something with you and give it whatever. Like, I was like, fuck, that is so visceral. Yeah. But yeah, my dad has spoken to me about how his sisters are witches and my sister's a witch and my mom is possessed, and like my whole life, like lots of solid superstitious talk around me. And then I was like living in my car, and this is like way fast forward, like when I was like 19. I was like living in my car. I was so thin, I didn't know it, but I was literally dying. When I look back at pictures of myself, it's like I'm a skull. Like I'm a skull. Like I weighed 80 pounds. So what, I'm 120 now, so minus 40 pounds from me. And I thought I was normal. Like I didn't see, that's the whole thing that I've learned with body dysmorphia, is like it is a dysmorphia. Like I didn't recognize.
So would you say you were anorexic?
Super anorexic. And I remember being confused, because I would try to eat. I wasn't not eating on purpose. I would try to eat and my whole body would tense and I'd be so tired I would just fall asleep. And so then eating became a fearful task, and then I avoided eating because it was difficult. But I didn't put the pieces together because I was 20 and in school and not... I never...
But you still had the body dysmorphia.
Yeah, I didn't see anything wrong with myself.
You didn't?
Mm-mm. Not at all. I didn't see it at all. And now I look back at photos of myself that I used to post. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah. There's a picture of me and my friend, and she's like beautiful and like a regular 20-year-old girl, like, and I'm smiling next to her, but I'm like fucking like bones. And I remember taking those photos with her and thinking like, what a cute picture. I'll post this. But just fucking wild.
How did you get through that?
I got myself through that. I forced myself to eat. Like, when your body doesn't want to eat and you're that thin, it's like a fucking battle. I would drink Inshore. I would drink like 3 or 4 Inshores a day.
That's like a weight loss drink?
It's like old people drink that. They drink it when they're
all the nutritional stuff you need.
I would drink like 4 of those a day. And if I drank them too fast, I would vomit them up. So I would have to drink them slowly and like be like, okay, like we're gonna keep it down, everybody. And then I would just go to work and go to school and continue to function.
And then you got yourself through it, you eventually started like...
I eventually gained weight, yeah.
You put your finger on the problem.
I don't think I really identified that I had a problem then until now, looking back. I think that those primary stages where I had like, I was over 18 and then I was going through college, I think those stages I didn't know how to take care of myself at all. I didn't know how to sleep properly, I didn't really have anywhere to be, I didn't have a home. So I think like taking care of myself was such a low item on like the totem pole. So I think I slowly learned how to take care of myself. I think living with roommates was really helpful for me because they'd be like, let's eat dinner, or let's go get a beer and some fries. Like, so it was like, I was like, oh yeah, like I should eat. It's been 8 hours.
Yeah.
I should eat something. Yeah. So I think I've learned a lot of like...
You wouldn't get hungry?
No. Even now, I don't ever get hungry, really.
Really?
Yeah, and that's like the strange thing about trigger stress, that you have to, someone in my situation, I have to be very honest with the way that I have acted, that my body's reacted and I've acted, and then position it that it's still present in me. Just because I have a better handle on how to take care of myself doesn't mean that my brain doesn't have those functions. And so I can tell when I am very stressed, I start losing weight. I start losing weight a lot, and I only see the weight loss. I don't see my behavior. Does that make sense? I only see the consequence of something happening. I don't see my own behavior of doing it because it's so normalized, because it's just my brain doing its function again.
Right. So it's like stress is making you
anxious.
Yeah, and it's what I would say anxiety is like
I have
dampening your appetite.
Yeah.
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 I get so much anxiety sometimes. I get paranoia. I get paranoid. And then that's when I know.
As in, like, you're thinking people are, like, talking
after me. Gonna get me. Someone's gonna come get me. Or, like, the people hiring me for work think I'm a joke. Or people buying my paintings are doing it to laugh at me. Or, like, my attempts at comedy are bad and everyone just thinks I'm this charity case. Yeah. Like, it's really bad. But then, you know, I'll make some soup and I'll do some yoga. And I'll read, and I'm so good at regenerating a better homeostasis.
Right. Yeah, how do you kill those thoughts?
You have to face them and say, thank you for protecting me previously. I understand what you're trying to do, but it's not that way anymore. Yeah. Just because I'm getting triggered by stress doesn't mean I'm in danger anymore. Right. Yeah.
So, we didn't finish on the haunting.
We are going all over the place.
I know.
And the main, we can finish the haunting. Yeah. So, haunting.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. So when I was in those stages of not taking care of myself, what I have learned, I'm a very superstitious person. I believe in all of it. I believe in demons. I think I was raised by one. Like, I fully believe this. So it's not like I think this, I believe this. So. Yeah. Roast me, I guess. She doesn't even listen to Metallica. She's fake. So what I've learned about possessions and demons and things that approach people, they approach people that are weakened, that are in a weakened emotional state. Because someone happy, functioning, thriving, social, good is not a possible target. Because an entity can't penetrate that. But someone that is depressed and anorexic and low energy and is like bedridden, that's when things seep at you because it's like a negative pull towards you. And I remember I was at the beach and my mom sent me a picture of like big gallon bags and she said, get all your like this is random too. This is just like a random day. I think it was like 19 something. And she said like get all your shit out of my house. Now. She said I can't afford the insurance for you to live here. Which I thought was real, but clearly, you know, that's not real. And so I went there. And she had thrown away most of my stuff. She just thrown it away. And I never really had like clothes or possessions, really. I'm just now having clothes and possessions. Jewelry. I finally buy jewelry for myself sometimes, but I took whatever. I took my computer that one of her boyfriends actually got me, which was ironic enough. So I put that in my car and I didn't even take everything. I just put what I could carry from inside the house into the car and to leave because I didn't know when she was coming back. I didn't want to interact with her because I was afraid of her. I still am afraid of her. And I just drove to this house that I knew my dad owned because I had been in it when I was little. I hadn't spoken to him for 10 years. I didn't know if he owned the house. I didn't know anything. I just drove there. And I didn't have his phone number, you know, and I just parked outside and it was like the craziest thing because he came outside, he opened the door and he went, my daughter's outside. And I was like, oh, I guess, like I thought he hated me. Like didn't want me. Like my mom filled my head like that he didn't want me, he wanted to put me up for adoption. He tried to sell me. Like, I thought this man, I was afraid of this man. I just didn't have another choice. And then even when I told my mom where I was, she said, like, I hope you have a big lock on your door. That's all she said to me.
Right, I remember.
So that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
So then I started living in that house. And that house was so haunted. When I lived in that house, I did not get out of the bed for 4 months. 4 months. I was just alone in that house, and I never got up. I didn't talk to anyone. I just like went through this summer where I watched all of Nip Tuck. I watched all of Nip Tuck, and I never got out of bed. I never got dressed. I only would take a shower when my clothes were like wet from me sweating. I wouldn't change my clothes.
And you did that out of fear.
I don't know why I did that. And I think back on it now, like, why did I do that? I don't know. I never left that room.
It felt like it.
I think I was completely like shut down. I think at that point,
Depressed?
I do think at that point, if I had a regular parental figure, I think they probably would have institutionalized me.
Your dad didn't give a shit?
No, he cared, but we were strangers, and I was 20.
Right.
He couldn't tell me what to do, and he was so afraid to like lose me. But that house is definitely haunted, like crazy. There's definitely, like, the crucifix would fall off the wall all the time. There's like shapes always in that house. There's always noises in that house, like breathing. And then I started seeing this kid, and he's a Protestant Baptist, and his family is very religious. They're like a very prestigious NFL family. Like, he's definitely like a whatever person. I started seeing him, and he would come over almost every night to be with me in that house because my dad didn't live in that house. So I was alone there. It was a little tiny house. It wasn't like nice or anything. And he would stay there with me. And then one day we were like looking in the mirror, brushing our teeth together, looking at each other, you know? And we both stopped and watched a figure crawl into my room on the ground, like a figure, like a human figure crawl on the ground into my room. And I just kept brushing my teeth. I didn't say anything, and he threw his toothbrush down and he went, "I know you fucking saw that." And I was like, "Yeah, I did see it." And we turned on all the lights, we picked up my mattress, and he was like, "What the fuck is going on in this house?" And that's when whatever was getting in that house was getting really strong. And then one day I woke up and I had big scratch marks on the insides of my legs, like big deep cuts on the insides of my legs, like a talon on both of my inner thighs, like bleeding. And I thought,
You scratched yourself?
did I scratch myself? Why would I do that in my sleep? I've never done something like that. Like, this didn't feel like it came from me.
Was the pattern like it could have been nails?
100%. Like a talon, like a thing.
Did this kid sleep? You guys were sleeping in the same bed?
He wasn't there when I woke up with it. And then I like ignored it. I ignored it, and then it's funny because what is really scary is what I'm going to tell you after I move out. So that was happening, and I thought, okay, something's after me. Something lives in that house. I have nowhere else to live. I have nowhere else to go. That room that I was living in was the same room I witnessed I don't know if I should say this. And that was the same room that I watched my father rape my sister when we were children. And that's like, I know that house is haunted because it was like filled with evil. but I didn't have anywhere else to live. And I lived in that same room, in the same bed. But I didn't have anywhere else to go. But I know that's really bad.
Really bad.
I know that's really bad, but...
So I thought when you said that, you know, your mom said keep a big lock on your door. I think before you said, oh, well, then that's a bunch of nonsense, but I guess it wasn't nonsense.
Well, I didn't think he would approach me. I'm his daughter. I was his stepdaughter. He treated me very differently, which is not a healthy frame of mind that I've learned now. But that's what was like taught to me. But my father has tried.
This was the sister that you're very close with?
Yes.
Is that what you were talking about with her today? The potential of you?
No. She's whatever I want to do, she'll support, but
She didn't have any feelings about the potential of you discussing something like that?
No. It just is something that happened. Again, we don't feel the way that you might feel about it.
Right.
I don't. But my father has tried to kill himself many times. My siblings have actively stopped him from doing that. He has, you know, apologized as much as something like that can happen. So he's definitely a twisted man.
How old were you when you witnessed this?
I was like in 5th grade. So I was like definitely aware of what was...
in the same room?
Yeah, it was a trundle bed. Thanks to the face. It's weird saying this out loud because this is just knowledge that I have, and like to see such a visceral reaction from you to something that I just know, I feel like is bizarre to me to receive. And I feel like this is why I never said anything to anyone, because this shit makes me feel like a fucking freak.
What? No.
It does.
It's actually like, I don't think I'll post that, but like, I have posted stories like that.
That's why I started getting more into your things, because the things that you were posting were very, like, I identified so much with those people.
And there's a lot of people that identify with those people.
Yeah, and that's like the whole thing. Yeah. It's like everyone thinks that this is some fucking twisted one-off. Like, no.
It's
and
very
they're different.
under-discussed.
It's so under-discussed. Yeah. So, and that, I wanted to talk about that and the presence of help and whenever. But the whole point of telling you that was that I knew that house was haunted. Because it was filled with evil.
The bigger issue now.
I knew that house was haunted, so I was living in that room. I was living in that room. I had nowhere else to go. It was either that or I'd live in my car. I had no, you know, what the fuck was I supposed to do? But,
when you witnessed this, did you know what was happening? You were so young.
You know it was wrong.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it's insidious. It wasn't good. But then it was later revealed to me that that wasn't like the first time or anything, and it had been going on, and
You talked to your sister immediately afterwards?
No. My brother didn't want us to talk about it. He didn't want me to know. My brother didn't want me to know. Because he was trying to protect us, but I was gonna say something about this. The most fucked up thing about that is like all of us children, there's 4 of us, yeah? All of us children, very tumultuous childhood, very non-idyllic, you know? But my sister, the one that I'm closest with, she is the one that received the most level of anything from my mother. My mother absolutely targeted her, and just, she got the worst of it. My mom, I don't know if she looks like my mom, or she's blonde and she has blue eyes and she's so beautiful. All of us are dark haired, like, my sister's bright blonde, has blue eyes, like, crazy. My mother just like hated her light. Like my sister is so positive and happy, like even now after everything, like that whole time. And my sister got sent, we'll get back to the haunting, I didn't forget. My sister got sent to this place called La Amistad. And it was like a home for girls, like troubled girls, because she kept getting in trouble in high school, like fucking setting shit on fire. I don't know, she had a mohawk. She was like punk rock. She was sick. She still is. And it came out, everything, you know, because they're like, why are you like this? Like, why are you so crazy? Yeah. And then she was like, because of this. Because of all of this, and you're telling me to respect my mom? It was like a weird religious fucking place for girls. I don't even know how we even afforded that. But I remember going there, and it was really scary. It felt like a prison. It was like the big, like, doors that, like, seal shut. Yeah. Fucking nuts. But, and then came home. And we got in a fight, because I was like, why do you have to be such a fucking bitch all the time? Like, I always blamed my sister. I blamed her, because I thought, like, why are you acting out so much? Like, isn't life shitty enough? Like, stop fucking acting out. And she said something to me that I'm not going to say on camera because it's really, you know, whatever. And then, but I'll remember it forever. And then after that, when we were all living in the house again, my mom just like was so relentless with her. It was awful. This is like right before she ran away. Like it was so bad. She was like a junior in high school. It was just so bad. My mom was so bad to her, just like unrelenting. And then it became that had stolen my father from her. That she had seduced him and that she was this vicious, competitive peer. And I remember hearing my mother say that. And like there are points in a childhood where like a parent will push a child and say things and you're like still attached to them. But I remember she said what she said. And I remember this like big slice like went through my brain like, I can't hear that ever again.
That's just terrible.
Yeah, and when my sister and I reunited, I told her that memory and she was like, I thought that I had dreamed that. She was like, I didn't know that really happened. And she has told me things that I have no memory of. She's like, you don't remember when you were 15 and this happened? And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So it's weird. But, so that was the house that I was living in. And after I had moved out because I just couldn't live there anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Where's your dad now?
He's fine. I still talk to him and very sporadically, and he made a lot of mistakes in his life, but in a weird, twisted way, he was the better parent, and he has helped all of us financially and emotionally, and, you know, I know that's fucked up, and I know that both of our parents are fucked up, but that is just, like, the reality of my life. And, like, he was just the lesser.
Yeah, of two evils.
Yeah.
Someone who could do something like that, which is just, like,
yeah,
the worst thing a parent could do.
Yeah. Well, I feel like what my mom did was way worse. Like,
what your mom did was persistent.
Yeah.
Your dad was a one-time, and he didn't do anything to you.
No. Not that I remember is the whole thing. Because I actually don't know if he did anything to me.
Right.
It's not like he would admit it now.
Right.
And I've talked to my therapist about that. Like, was I molested? Was I raped? I have no fucking idea. Right. I could have been. Very well could have been. I had a false idea in my mind that I was his daughter and he wouldn't do that to me. But that's fucking crazy. That's not real.
I'm realizing now that your fingernails are bright green.
Yeah, they look sick.
They're gonna...
Oh.
It's gonna be in this show.
Oh no, I'll sit on my hands. Is that bad?
I'm not gonna... have to, like, actually, like...
Tape my hands? Really?
Tape them, yeah. Yeah, I think I have some tape right here.
With gaff tape?
Yeah.
These are so expensive, Charlie. I guess I could Sharpie them.
That's better than putting tape over them?
Damn, this is so tragic. I can't believe I'm doing this. These are so expensive.
It'll wash off.
No, it will not. It will not wash off. This is it.
All right.
You have to do my other
Okay,
hand.
fine.
This is crazy.
All right.
Look at us bonding.
So wait, what made you want to do a second interview? Was it to tell what you just told? Was it something else?
I feel like it was just such an overwhelming thing. I just felt like there should be a part 2.
Yeah.
And I think that I am learning about my own life, that I have a very strange life. I thought that these things were happening to everyone all the time. I feel like something bigger than me is pushing me in this direction.
Probably is.
So.
All right.
Sadie.
Action. We're back.
Okay.
Show the camera your nails, just so.
So I had green nails, and then we found a solution for that.
A Sharpie.
So if this is dope back here, that means this worked. But if it's green, that means that this is a waste of a manicure. So don't say I didn't try and sacrifice. I also am technically in pajamas because I went to yoga and then took those. I'm just naked under here. I've just been out.
Naked under your clothes.
I'm naked under my clothes. Better believe it. So yeah, I was seeing that kid and he was super religious and we would see things together, we'd see things separately. I ended up with those scratches on me. They look like claw marks. And I was like, okay, whatever's in this house is like, it's coming for me. It's been coming for me. I don't give a fuck. I'm tired and I have my own life and whatever's, I just remember laughing at whatever it was and I was like, I'm not afraid of whatever's in this house. I don't care about this at all. And I went to back my car out at night and there was a big, tall, black figure behind my car. And I was like, oh. And then I turned all the way around and it was gone. And I was like, fuck you. Like, I'm not fucking scared of you. And then I went and did my night. And then the next night, the way I would exit the house was through the garage. So it was like I do move my hands a lot. It was a clicker. So you had to close the garage once you left the house, right? To lock up. And I'd done that millions of times. I kept the thing right there. It was like just what I did every time I left the house. You hate it.
I'm not thinking about that at all.
And so I started to drive away once, and I thought, fuck, did I close the garage? Like, I don't think I closed it. And I drove back to the house, because I was still in the neighborhood, and in the middle of the road was this big black animal, like right in front of my house. And the garage was shut. And I was like, I just gunned at it, and it like went away. And I was like, still not scared of you, and whatever you're trying to do to draw me back into this house is not gonna fucking work. I don't care. And like through this whole thing, I just thought, they're not my mom.
Yeah.
That's really scary. Whatever the fuck this little shadow thing is, fuck you. I remember being mad at it and being like, fuck you. You're not gonna fuck with me because I've been fucked with my entire life. Right. I'm not afraid of your shadowness. Yeah. And I remember, like in the middle of that is when I got this scratch. In the middle of those two things is when those scratches came. And I was like, damn, this thing is like really gonna kill me. And I just kept going to school and stuff. And then a crucifix fell off the wall. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I would just drink NyQuil and sleep at night. And I was like, well, whatever. And then it started to stop. And I was like, yeah, well, that's what I thought, bitch. And I was getting into my car, and this huge black slug, which I've never seen any of these things in Florida, is a huge black slug, was in front of my car. I step into my car. I've lived there forever. I've never seen anything like that. It didn't rain. Like, that wasn't a regular animal. And I just started laughing at it, and I fucking stomped it out, and then when I picked up my foot, it was gone. And I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought, you fucking little Because it was losing its power, whatever it was trying to do to me. And then I never saw it again.
I'm always like debating when I hear these stories of whether it's like an internal thing with you or if it's actually an external thing. You know, the fact that it's like so similar makes me actually think it's like a common like psychological trait or something
sure, yeah.
that people are experiencing.
And one of my ironically enough, a girl that I know is a professional. Like, she works in New York. She's very talented and gifted, and her husband is like the same, and they're doctors. And I have told her about some of this, and she was like, it sounds like, she gave me a medical diagnosis basically, and she was like, it sounds like when those things happen to you. And I have very violent night terrors sometimes. Are you okay?
Yeah.
And I was telling her about this, and I told her about that, and she was like, it sounds like you're going through paralysis when you're sleeping.
Have you ever had sleep paralysis?
Yeah, but that's a different feeling. I was awake and driving a car.
Well, the funny thing is that I've had a guy on the show talking about his sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis is fucking scary.
And he said he saw a guy they called the Hat Man.
Yeah, Hat Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what you described.
Yeah, Hat Man is scary as fuck.
You've seen Hat Man?
I don't know if I did. I've seen something. I don't want Hat Man anywhere near me. I don't have sleep paralysis. I've never experienced sleep paralysis.
Well, the thing is, like, what you're describing is so similar to what the guy was saying.
And this is what my doctor friend said to me. She said, when sleep paralysis happens, your brain is projecting dream into reality, and your perception is it's just reality. Right. And I was like, yes, I understand that. I know. Right. I don't know as much as she knows, but I was like outside in the middle of the day driving a car, and then a thing poofed away. Right. But then also, that could have been a psychosis of a projection of me being anorexic and not sleeping. Yeah. You know?
I mean...
But then how do you explain those scratches on my legs?
The scratches are crazy.
And I remember seeing them and, like, being afraid and then being like, I just did what I always do, where I just said ignore it. Yeah. But then here's the fun part. You ready? Okay, so fast forward, I move into a house in St. Pete with my friend. I move out of that house. I'm in school. I got into the graphic design program. Life is good, right? For now.
St. Pete?
Florida.
St. Pete.
St. Pete.
Okay,
St. Petersburg, Florida.
Got it.
I have a house party. And that boy, we didn't talk anymore, but he randomly came over, whatever. And he slept over, and then in the morning we were just hungover and sitting outside like this, just like talking, because I literally hadn't seen him in like, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months. Also, he had a girlfriend, so sorry about that. And I started talking to him about the house, and wasn't that weird and crazy, and he's like, you don't live there anymore, right? And I was like, no, I live here. And he was like, does your dad still own that home? Does he still own that house? And I was like, no, it's like in the process of being sold. And he was like, so you'll never go back there? And I was like, yeah, why? You want to go there? And he was like, okay, I never wanted to tell you any of this because you were living in that house, but he's like, there was something after you in that house. And he's very religious. He's like super devout, like to whatever youth extent that means. And he was like, yeah, whatever was in that house is after you. He's like, there were so many nights where I would roll over and you were dead. And he's like, I would scream in your face and shake you and you were fucking gone. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, that happened so many times where like I thought that you were dead. And then he said that when he would shake me, he doesn't know what happened, and then all of a sudden he woke up and it was morning and I was fine again. And he was like, that happened multiple times. And he was like, I would never go to sleep in that house until you were sleeping because I wanted to watch whatever would happen to you. Because he said I was blue. He said I was dead, like gone. And he was like, and then whatever was in that house knew that I was watching over you. And I don't know if he would pray or whatever he would do, but I think that he would pray. And he was like, and then at night I would wait till you were sleeping, and he said that every night he felt something get on top of him and like hold him down to like stop him from getting to me. Like we were laying next to each other, but like he was like, I couldn't move. And
it sounds like sleep paralysis.
But he was awake, and this happened multiple times.
But it's still the same things that people experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but he said he would do this like every night and wait for me to go to sleep. And then he would feel the thing on him, and he said that he was like, okay, like tonight's the night, like I'm just gonna fucking look at this thing, whatever it is. And he said he like opened his eyes, and it was just like some kind of shape, and then he said he passed out. And then it was weird because we were dating, and then he he wouldn't come over sometimes when he was just like supposed to, or he wouldn't come inside. And I was like, you know, my feelings. And then he admitted to me in that morning that like, he was like, I was afraid of the house. I was afraid to leave you there. I was afraid of what was happening to you there. I was afraid of what was happening to me. And then when my dad sold that house, he said like, he was like, oh yeah, like I hope, you know, the doors don't open and close too much on the new family. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so you knew that house was haunted, and you let me live there. And he was like, yeah, I mean, I knew something lived there, and it wasn't, you know, and I was like, okay, so you fucking knew.
But here's the thing, I feel like...
But how do you explain,
how
like...
is everyone afraid of it? You know what I mean? Wouldn't some people just be curious and just be like, come out, little troll? Like,
well, that's what I think. Children are curious of it. But I was in such like a fucked emotional state that I was disassociated from everything. I was drinking and partying and just trying to be a hot teenager or early college person.
I think there's maybe like something that is external, but I think it could be a marriage of the two thing, where that house is, because everyone's saying the same thing about the house.
And it was only happening in the house.
The features of what you discuss show a lot of similarity to the guy who was just talking about his sleep paralysis, you know. And he was convinced it was ghosts, but I was the skeptic, being like, no, this is sleep paralysis.
I don't know. I don't truly know. I mean, that's the whole thing about the paranormal.
Yeah.
But I vividly remember being completely awake, brushing our teeth, and seeing the thing, and I ignored it, and he yelled at me. And he said, I know you fucking saw that.
Yeah.
And then we looked for it, and there was nothing there, of course. And then my body being scratched, and then him finally admitting to me. I had no idea he was going to tell me that shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. Like, I hadn't talked to him in like 6 months.
Yeah.
So that was really wild. And I was like, damn.
I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick.
Go to the bathroom. Whenever anyone comes back from the bathroom, I was gotta go.
Gotta go.
And they're always like, oh, I guess well.
What? Don't talk about
You're not supposed to talk about it.
So how did your sister react to the last video? She saw it?
She just says she's proud of me. She loved. Did I just get Sharpie in my eye?
No. Wait. No, I don't think so.
Don't look at my greasy head. She was just proud of me, and I started to write the book, and I had you read some of it, and this is like all the things I wanted to say, like what happened, like to me, IRL.
Yeah.
Aside from messages and things, and then I do want to address the positive messages, and I would like to address the negative messages.
Yeah. The positive messages being?
Just everyone that reached out with supportive words and things and shared their own stories and things like that.
Right. I thought you were talking about of your story.
Oh, no.
Not a lot of positive messages in your story.
I don't know. Don't be haunted.
Yeah.
Go to church, I guess. I don't know. Have a better family than I did.
Yeah.
Step 1.
Yeah.
Never fuck my mom, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so living in that house was super bizarre, and then him, that guy telling me the truth finally, and then my dad also admitting it was all, I was like, okay, so no one was going to tell me that I wasn't the only one. But again, what is the explanation of those events? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all this extra attention that's being brought into your past now, like, it hasn't made you want to reconnect with either parent in any way?
I mean, I still speak with my dad. I mean, we text.
You're right.
He's just like he's definitely a miserable, crazy person. Right. It's where they end up.
Yeah.
You know, what can I really...
Like the track's like, too.
Huh?
Well, I mean,
yeah. Oh, and with my mom, she's married. She has a fucking boyfriend.
Is he also insane?
No, he was super sweet. He's a fireman. And that's, so she started dating him.
Well, you also said that one of her boyfriends bought you a laptop.
Yeah, and that guy faked his own death.
What?
Yeah, to get away from her.
Oh, really?
I think so. He was
How do you know that?
He was a CIA agent. He was the one that found that girl. He was famous. And he had like a Range Rover. He taught me how to drive. And then all of a sudden he was gone. And then someone was like, yeah, he killed himself, and told my mom that. And then she told me that in front of my high school boyfriend. And I was like, he did not kill himself. There's no open casket. There's no funeral. I think that he just fled.
Oh, so you don't know that he faked his own death?
No, but in my heart.
In your heart.
And sometimes I really cared for that man. He was great. They didn't see each other for very long, but he was the first person that started to believe me about her, because she would have very visceral reactions to me in front of him when she had been drinking, and I would turn and I would look at him and be like, do you see the level of reaction I'm receiving right now for me not doing anything? Like, and that was very mild what was going on, obviously, but he was like a very nice man. He had a nice condo, had a Range Rover. He wasn't like an idiot or anything. He was a super accomplished person. My mom was very beautiful and very smart, you know? But I began going to his house at night, freaking out because I didn't have anywhere else to go. Oh, sorry. I remember vividly going to his condo at least 3 times at night. Did I mess it up?
No, I'm just looking at it.
And being like, my mom's crazy. And this is when I was in high school. And I was like, my mom's crazy. My siblings are gone. You're dating her. What should I do? Like, I had anyone to talk to. And I remember extremely vividly at his table, he gave me a computer and he said, you need to get away from your mother. He said that to me. And then he got away, and then he was gone. I don't know what happened to him. But wherever you are, hello.
I think he probably died.
I don't think he died. I don't think he's dead at all. He worked he was like a CIA guy. That's what he said. I mean,
Do they do that? CIA people? They fake their own death?
I
That's
think
a thing?
I think so.
that's a
He
thing
had
in
like a
movies.
published book and everything.
So he's invincible?
I don't know. See, this is another thing that just lives in my brain. But, yeah, that guy. I don't know how we got to talk about that.
Well, I was thinking it was funny that your mom could even date.
Oh, now she has yeah, she is married to someone. And then I was saying, sorry, remember. She started seeing this guy. This is when I was living in St. Pete with my roommate. And she moved into a nice condo in a nice area with this guy. And he would say things to me like, he was very soft-spoken. He was a firefighter. He was like kind of like a peace love guy. Like, I don't know. Like, that's all I like remember of him. But he was like totally fine, totally nice. And he would say things like, you should speak to your mother more. And like, you shouldn't treat your mother badly like she says you do. And I would just be like, oh, you poor guy. Like, you have no fucking idea what's going on here. But I guess they're married. And he's a firefighter. So I guess he is trained to deal with mania. So, like a week or so ago, my sister had talked to my other sister because my brother got out of jail, and then it came out that my oldest sister had spoken to my mom because of the jail thing. She was alerted because she has access to court records. I guess she told my oldest sister that she has and this is 3 people telling my sister telling me, so I don't even know what is real in this thing told to me. That she has admitted that she has mental illness. Okay.
Small admission, yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, that's a little. My sister told me, and I started laughing, and she was like, "Why is that funny?" I was like, "That doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, you think you have mental illness because all 4 of your children hate you?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Screaming, when are you gonna die in their face?
Oh my, all the time. Or I hope you die, or die.
Yeah. So, do you feel like you've said what you wanted to say?
Not at all.
No.
I know. I just wanted to talk about what happened after the interview, and then this all. I don't know. Maybe you could chop this.
It wasn't really that like you wanted to get any of this off your chest. It sounds like you needed to.
I feel like I need to tell someone,
Yeah.
and it's just
Well,
you.
this is all what you're gonna write in the book.
I would love to write all of this in the book. But in the book, I mean, you read some of it. I just want to write like the first person experience of something like this.
I mean, it's also tragic, but like there's still like exactly. Like there is a positive side to it. I mean, you live a good life now.
I like my life. I like the people in my life. And I actually think I have like a pretty desirable life. That seems to be what is said to me. I travel for work. I'm an artist. I make money. I have really talented, wonderful friends that include me in like these amazing things. And I just think it's awesome. What I guess, if I could have the platform of saying, like, after the interview came out, right, I had all these positive messages, people reaching out to me saying they had a similar thing, strangers, but then I also had a massive influx of people from high school contact me that I haven't spoken to in a long time, and no one had any idea. No one had any fucking idea. Not even my closest friends had any idea. And that pairs with what I'm about to say about, and then some people in your comments section, I was crying in an airport, texting you, I was fucking sobbing, having a panic attack because those comments, people were saying that I'm the narcissist, that I'm lying about the fucking coconut thing because it gave me hives. I didn't like to eat it. I was a child that wasn't allowed to go to the doctor. I just was telling an experience. So it's like the people that didn't know that reached out warmly and the people that don't know me that reached out negatively, I think it's the same issue where there is an undercurrent of abuse in this country and every country towards children that's just not spoken about. 100%. And I think that there is a social stipulation that is of a boomer generation that it's impolite to tattle on your family, or it's rude to speak ill of your parents, or it's inappropriate to say what's happening to you.
And you hold on to that because you have that fear of your mom seeing the video.
Yeah, I do.
Not liking it.
I don't want to upset my mother. And at this point, I feel like it's not about her; it's about me. And yeah, if she ever saw this, I would feel awful. I would feel awful if she saw this. I don't know. You
don't feel like she should see it? Because I feel like
if she saw it, she would absorb it as an attack. I don't think that she sees me as a person.
Well, why would you attack her if you're not even showing it to her, right? If she saw it and it's something that you said to someone else, it's not directed at her. You tried to keep it away from her.
I have posted things previously on social media that were from books I've read or art that I've made that were about me, or literally from a book. Like I would take a picture of like the writing about families and being healthy, and I would make art of myself, calling myself a shitty daughter, like. And she would find it, and then she would make fake accounts and post it and say, "Don't ever have kids." Like my mom has always cyberbullied me and attacked me.
Right, I remember you talking about that.
Yes.
That's wild. That's one of.
That's what I think
That's the one part where it's almost like funny how absurd it is. You know, it's just like, how could she? But it's just so sad.
I think that her delusion is so thick.
Yeah.
And I think that the person that feels that way and does those things believes that person.
Yeah.
I think the person that would hurt us and abuse us is a different person. But they're all just her. But I do think that she is split up in her head, which isn't an excuse, obviously, but that's my feeling of her not talking to herself, in a way, if that makes sense.
You just posted the video to your social media.
Mm-hmm. I'm afraid.
You're afraid that she's going to find it.
So I'll tell you how that happened. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay, so I was in Brooklyn. It was cold. So I was like, I will come to LA. You know, she's in LA. My friends live here. Why not? Why not come to LA? I like LA. I post online that says, I'm going to LA for the rest of the month. If you're there, hit me up. A girl I've never met commented and goes, can we be friends? People have done that to me before, and I always go, that's weird. I don't like that. I look at her profile. We have so many mutual friends, very exclusive friends that aren't regular level tier of friends that are a little very accomplished in their careers that I'm like, how do you even know that person? I message her and I go, yeah, let's do it. Let's be friends. And then she sends me this big, long message. And she was like, I saw your video. I saw what you said. You are so eloquent. You're so well-spoken. You're so beautiful. She's like, I have to meet you. We have so many mutual friends. I don't know what's happening, but we need to get a drink.
Right, yeah.
We get a drink. Not only is she from where I'm from, she graduated the same year of high school as me, knows knows enough of the same people as me. We grew up in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like, wild. Yeah. And then
When was this? When was your date?
the third day I was in LA. And her and I are just blown away because she grew up the same. She grew up the same way. Her mother had the same tendencies. She would do drugs. She would beat her. She would shame her. Her mother said things to her that my mom said I was a curse, said I was a curse on me, on my family. I had my father's face and it was a curse. My mom spoke to me in the same way that her mom did. And we're just I've never met this girl, and we are going back and forth, telling each other extremely intimate things. And I don't know, I have never met someone like that I felt saw me so clearly and without pity.
Yeah.
Not in a you poor little thing, but like a person that also does well and also is accomplished and also is doing well and doesn't want to hurt other people. And then I went to an event, and then she happened to work there, and I saw her again. And then I got invited to this thing, and I brought her with me, and we were talking about things that have happened. And there's all these happenstances I've had with toxic friendships, or just people in general. So I have this thing where people just treat me like shit sometimes. And I always am like, oh, they're joking. They're trying to be funny. Or I always rationalize everyone's behavior to a positive light. And she was I told her a story, and she basically went, fuck that guy, that's rude as fuck. And then I defended this person, even though I have no investment in this person. And she was very quiet, and she let me talk. And then she looked at me and she went, you have a very big heart. And she was like, that's all I'm gonna say about that. And I think that she can see my behavior so clearly. It's crazy. And then I showed her how much I've written of the book. And she was the one that was like, yeah, get funding and post it on your social media.
Yeah.
And
what do you need 10 grand for?
So when you write a book, this is a little fast forward what I was going to say, but I went to her house today, and she physically sat by my side while I physically posted these things, freaking out, was like, yeah, what if my mom sees these things? That's the whole thing. What if my mom sees those things? That's what I've been afraid of. And she was like, that time has passed where the validity of those feelings matters. You need to move forward. And I think writing the book would help a lot of people. And when you write a book, you have to get an editor, and you have to pay them, and you have to get a publisher, and it costs thousands of dollars to pitch books every time to publishers, to publishing fees, anything that would ever be distributed, any kind of law contract I would ever have to pay for. And then also I work full time, so any time that I'm taking to write this book is taking money out of my pocket. So it's I have been trying to write it, and I've met with editors and things, but I don't have any money to pay them.
Yeah.
And I don't have the free time to neglect work, to work on it.
Right.
And I met with 2 editors, and they were really fabulous. They were wonderful. The one girl was like, I literally cannot focus on this because I have my job. you know, she was going to help me for free. And then she had to be like, this isn't realistic, and I don't want to like lead you to water and abandon you. And then I was speaking with this other girl who's really cool, but she's busy too. She has a job. Like, I can't just expect a free editing of a fucking book. It's not realistic.
Yeah, of course not.
So that's where all that money would go. That would be fees and editor fees and publishing fees, and to pitch the book and to get it in front of someone or get it in front of the right person, or if someone knows better about the process of taking this on. But it is expensive. Like, you can't just write a book and ship it to Penguin and get it published. That's not realistic at all. I would have to do meetings and pitches and get people in a room.
And your new friend, she's going to help you out with a lot of this, right?
She's going to emotionally support me, but it's not like...
what does she do?
She does event planning.
Oh, cool.
So she's not connected in that way. But I feel good that she believes in me, and that for some reason we've been pushed together to be friends.
I think that's awesome that that connection was made from the video.
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely a
wild,
very positive thing that's come from it.
Incredibly wild.
And it's cool that you've now posted it to your social media.
And I wouldn't...
Because other opportunities might occur like that, you know?
Yeah, and...
It sounds like someone, like... It seems like a great friend, could be a great friend for you.
Yeah.
For a long time.
And I think, like, even your girlfriend, I've just felt recently like these people I have so much, like, adoration for have acknowledged me. And I just don't feel worthy of it at all. I feel like I'm hurting my mom, and I have to grow up and live my life. And if I could help anyone avoid this, then I will. Because it's not just a childhood that sucked. It's the way I see myself and my self-esteem and my inability to take care of myself and my inability to have healthy relationships with men and my inability to have a healthy sexual appetite because I'm afraid of men. It's all these things. And I think the generation above us, I think they rejected mental health as a topic of conversation, and I think there are a lot of people like me that want to break that generational hand of trauma, because I don't know anything about my mother or my father's childhood. I don't know what happened to them, and I want to know, and I'll never know. And, you know, a lot of people that reached out to me said the same thing about their mom or their dad, and they don't know what happened to their parents. And it's like, whatever cyclical pain baton has been handed to this generation, I think we're ready for it to end.
Yeah.
And when my sister got pregnant with her first child, I was terrified. I was terrified. Because I was like, how are we going to love this child and protect this child? And she has a great life, and her children are happy, you know? And my sister broke it. She's great. And it's possible. It's possible to step out of it and be different. Yeah, and I feel very strongly about that. And I know people that their parents are only a little bit shitty, you know? But it still bothers them, and it's still valid. Just because my situation is so fucking severe doesn't mean that someone experiencing passive aggression from their family is invalid. Right. Like, there are so many people that avoid calling their parents and avoid their siblings that have good lives and good families, and like, it doesn't have to be that way anymore. It doesn't have to be a secret anymore. And like, talking to other people that have experienced what I've experienced, like the the victimhood and the shame and the guilt, you know, maybe this will never go away. Maybe these feelings will never go away, but at least I can say it out loud now.
Well, you're doing it, and a lot of people
Responded to it.
yeah, and
I'm sorry.
I think everyone appreciates you having the courage to do it.
And this sucks. This sucks. I feel weak and shitty.
No, you don't feel that way. It's very brave of you to do this.
I don't know. I don't know if I feel so brave.
I mean, how could you not? I mean, you're facing something you're really, really scared to do, and it's helping people. Like, that's a very commendable thing, so.
And it's so, like, just recently, I have been exposed to people that you're saying that to me, and the other girls. The girl that I met, the friend, she just, like, she was like, you spoke so eloquently, and you shouldn't doubt yourself. Like, she just came at me with, like, these
100%.
facts. And I was like, oh, thanks. And she was like, no, this is real. You said that. You mean something to me because of it.
Yeah.
And other people that believe in me and say nice things to me, like, I constantly excuse praise. I constantly excuse anyone that reaches out to love me. This is the thing. This is like, there's whole generations of people like me that feel like these unlovable little children. And it's bullshit. And it's like, time for us to rise up, be loved.
Well, I think we could wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty good.
Thank you so much for coming back.
It's always a wild time.
I will be, I'll be watching you on your journey in the book publishing and everything. If I could help again in any way.
Yeah. Post it. It would be good.
I will. For sure. All right, everyone. Good night.
Yeah.